The big headlines of the day. Let's talk about this plane crash just outside of Lancaster off to really the northeast side of the city.
Yeah.
So we saw this call pop up late last night. It happened around 10:40 off Lancaster Thornville Road, which is State Route 188. And I can pull up a map.
Two people in the plane, right?
Yeah,
As
two
you
people in
pulled
the
the map.
plane. There it is. Bloop. All right. So once this plays out, I'll show you where it is. So we don't know who these two people are. So right there at State Route 188, Lancaster is off a little bit to the west, and the airport is even farther west. There, the Licking County Regional Airport. So
Looks pretty rural area.
it is.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. You never want to have that situation where you have to ditch a plane, but it always helps when it's in a rural area. So according to an Ohio State Highway Patrol trooper at the scene, that plane was coming from West Virginia at the time and headed to land at the Fairfield County Airport. That was about 5 miles out. And for some reason, ADSB, which is like a system that tracks location of planes, and it's basically the plane screaming out all the time where I am and what I'm doing. All of a sudden, the plane just dropped.
For no reason. Okay.
And they were only at about 1,800 feet, which is traffic pattern altitude for Lancaster. So we do know that both of them were taken to Grant. Both are in pretty serious condition today. The FAA should be there by now. We were told by Highway Patrol about a couple hours ago, FAA should be there between 8 and 9 today. So.
And we should note, Colin, you have flight experience, right? You have a pilot's license. So this is very familiar territory for you.
Right. And you look at this plane, it's a 1961 Cessna 182.
So it's like a two-seater?
Yeah,
Four-seater?
four-seater. It's a four-seat. A little faster than your typical Trainer 172. So it's a little faster, a little bigger.
Meant to go short distances, right? So this was coming from West Virginia.
Yeah, so this was a flight of about 250 miles. So this was coming from Martinsburg, West Virginia, which is about as east in West Virginia as you can get. You're really in the DMV. You're in the the DC, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So it was a quick trip for them because I did a bunch of digging this morning on what available data there is from flight tracking and FAA's website. So they left Lancaster around 5:40 in the evening, got to Martinsburg.
Sunday.
Yes, this was all yesterday.
Sunday. Okay.
So it's like they went there, stopped for about an hour and a half, turned around and came back.
Interesting.
So, I've got some questions there because I know during your training, you have to do one of these night flights. So I don't know if it was a training or if they were just going out to pick something up and coming back. There's a lot of questions there because we don't know how old the victims are, or I use victims loosely. They are alive and with us.
Yes.
They're in serious health condition, but they're okay. So
they left here at 5:40, went there, quick turnaround.
Turnaround, basically long enough to park the plane, get gas, put new fuel in it, probably grab a bite to eat and shoot back.
Interesting.
Because looking at it, like I said, that plane, right before it crashed, was about 1,800 feet, and you come into your traffic pattern about 1,000 feet above the runway surface. So they were at traffic pattern altitude. They were set up to land
at the airport, which is 5 miles away.
Yeah, which is you start doing that about 10 miles out.
Okay.
At least in smaller planes, you come in about 10 miles out. You kind of come into where you need to be set up to enter into traffic pattern and get down. I don't know if they were, because I don't know if it was cloudy at that time last night. I know it clouded up, when I headed to bed at 7.
But nighttime flying's tricky.
It is. It can be disorienting because you don't have the horizon. It's just dark. It's beautiful.
Sure.
Because, you get all these city lights. It's really gorgeous. Dusk flying's beautiful. But, if you haven't done a lot of it, it can be really disorienting all of a sudden because your center of balance plays tricks on you, and you can find yourself kind of in a descent or a climb or turning one way or another if you're not paying attention.
Wow.
So there's a lot of questions here. And also I think when, we talk about the age of this plane, it's a 1961, and some people go, that is terribly old. You don't think about, you don't drive a 1961 car every day. That's not that old for general aviation aircraft.
Really?
No.
That's like I had higher math here, 60, 70, 60 years old.
65?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not really that old because every couple years, these planes, every year they have to go through an annual inspection. And then after that, they hit there's a certain amount of hours that you put on them, and then they go get rebuilt. So every few years, these planes are getting rebuilt and rebuilt. So, I mean, I don't think in all of, I don't know if I've ever flown a plane newer than like 1985.
Wow.
Yeah.
But really the question is, so if the plane's in good condition, kept very well, what would cause a plane to suddenly drop?
And there's a number of things, maybe they had maybe they had an engine failure. Because at that height, you don't have a lot of range to glide. You don't have that much. You've got maybe a half mile, a mile. I mean, a 182, they've got a good glide distance, but you still don't have a lot of time. And the problem that they have, because with as cool as it was and some of the moisture, maybe it's an issue of carburetor icing and something like that. We don't know.
The weather.
And of course, that's what the FAA is going to find out.
And as NTSB. A pilot, you have been trained and taught, like, if that were to happen, what's your first thing you want to do? You want to find that rural area so you can find like an open road, or what? Yeah. What's your first thing? It's thought.
Right. So basically, it's once that goes down, you basically trim your plane to whatever it's going to get you to glide the farthest to buy you enough time as possible. And you run through everything like, okay, did I forget to switch fuel tanks? Did I accidentally like bump a power switch? Like, is everything where it should be?
You have to do that in like 5 seconds.
Oh, you do it so fast.
Oh my gosh.
So fast.
Colin.
And then the other complexity of this was at nighttime.
Yeah.
So at least during the day, you can see, okay, there's a farm field over here that is smooth.
Right.
And, I'm not going to have any issues. At nighttime, you don't have any of that because you don't know where the power lines are. You don't know where trees are.
Right.
And
you're just guessing, like, hope this is an open area.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness.
You were just hoping for the best.
Well, I hope that the two people who were taking a grant, we know it's a trauma 3, so it's a little heart-pounding to think that they had to be taking a trauma 3, but hopefully that, they're in the right hands and getting the right treatment.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously the NTSB and the FAA are there investigating today.
Okay.
They'll get all that pulled out and see exactly what happened. With the pilots, being in critical condition, it'll be a bit longer, but certainly they'll be like, okay, here's what happened.
And there's always a black box, so they can figure that out.
Not in general aviation aircraft.
Really?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
This is, so all those Cessnas.
Yeah, that we're just, zipping around.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's a lot of fun.
There should be another segment on regulations that need a change for Cessnas. Just saying. I'm kidding.
So, it's interesting.